In our shop today, we have a 2006 Chevrolet Trailblazer with a 4.2-liter inline engine and about 50,000 miles on it. The vehicle is setting a random trouble code P0171 fuel system lean. This vehicle was first taken to the dealership for this issue, and they replaced the front oxygen sensor and the intake manifold gaskets, which made no difference. A now frustrated customer took the vehicle to an independent repair shop where they tried replacing the mass airflow sensor with no success. This was when I was called. This vehicle can be driven for a week or two without the check engine light returning and/or storing the P0171 trouble code. There are no drivability issues reported by the owner.
This looks like another problem for Inspector Tech.
It is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. Silence! When an OBD2 vehicle stores a trouble code, freeze frame data is also recorded. A freeze frame is a snapshot of parameter information when the code was set. Many times this information will hold some valuable clues. Let's take a look. Here are the two frames of data I found stored on this computer. As they move together, you can see how close in value the parameters are at each shot. Look at the short-term and long-term field trims. They're nearly identical. The coolant temperatures are also within 6 degrees of each other. But what really caught my eye was the amount of time after startup each code was set. Remember, these are 2 different days the code set, and they each happened just past the 8-minute mark. This is 8 minutes after the engine was started from a cold soak. Here's the evidence gathered so far. The fuel trims show the computer is trying to add fuel to maintain stoichiometrics, or 14.7 parts air to 1 part fuel. Both times the code is set, the coolant temperature was around 190 degrees, and they occurred just past 8 minutes of driving time. I think it's time I let the vehicle sit overnight, and then I'll take it for a test drive in the morning. During the first 10 minutes of this test drive, I'm going to be monitoring things very closely and also be at the ready to record a movie. A movie will record multiple frames of most of the parameters before and after the time the record button is pushed. It will give us more evidence than just freeze frames. Well, I finally got lucky and the check engine light illuminated on this test drive. Let's take a look at what was recorded. For this diagnosis, I'm going to focus on just 4 of the parameters: short and long-term field trims, and the front and rear oxygen sensors. As you can see, all the parameters are listed on the left side of the diagram. In the graph windows, short-term fuel trim is in the upper left. Long-term is in the upper right. The front O2 sensor is in the lower left, and the rear O2 sensor is in the lower right corner. As the drive trace starts out, everything looks normal. The short-term field trim is showing a little on the rich side, but remember, this is from a cold start. The long-term is nearing a perfect 0. The front O2 is oscillating as expected, and the rear O2 is biased rich. Everything appears normal. Then right around frame 1340, things begin to change. Look at the drop in the front O2 sensor voltage, and instantaneously the short-term field trim reacts by demanding more fuel. Could the OE oxygen sensor be going to sleep for some reason? That was my first thought. But as we move along the timeline a little further, how is the rear O2 reacting? Yes, it's reacting the same as the front, an excellent confirmation the sensors are just doing what they are made to do, sense oxygen in the exhaust stream. Also note the sudden and drastic change in the long-term field trim. This radical change is the reason for the trouble code P0171 to set. Let's move along the timeline a little further. Right around frame 1426, you see the front O2 drastically change back again to a more normal pattern. Then shortly after, the rear O2 reacts and starts reporting a less lean condition. We have been viewing the graph zoomed in to see the detail. Now we're going to look at it zoomed out to view the overall picture. From this vantage point, it becomes a little more clear to me. In this case, the rear O2 is a very good trace to note. Look at how the trace dips straight down to an almost completely lean level, holds there nearly steady for a period, and then works its way back to a normal biased rich 700 millivolts. Okay, here's the evidence I have now. The check engine light and trouble code P0171 are being set because the long-term field trim is temporarily spiking. The fuel trim is spiking because the O2 sensors are temporarily reporting a lean condition. The O2 sensors appear to be functioning properly. Except for a very slight bump I felt when the check engine light came on, the engine seems to be running fine through this entire drive cycle. This tells me it must be something other than an engine component causing the code to set. This rules out the obvious like vacuum leaks, injector sticking, fuel system issues, etc. We have to consider what else in this vehicle can cause the O2 sensors to temporarily report an extremely lean condition. Clearly, excessive amounts of oxygen will cause the O2 sensors to produce a low voltage and report to the computer the system is running lean. But if not from the engine, where could this additional oxygen be coming from? Through my research, I found this vehicle incorporates a secondary air injection process. The air pump sends fresh pressurized air into the exhaust system during cold warm-up to cut down on catalyst warm-up time. There is also a solenoid control shutoff valve which regulates the airflow from the pump to the exhaust system. When the catalytic converter reaches operating temperature, the solenoid closes and blocks off airflow to the exhaust system, but the pump keeps running for a short period of time after the solenoid closes. The solenoid also incorporates a pressure sensor. After it closes, the pump should build a pressure to ensure hose integrity, and the pressure sensor sends the information to the computer. The fuel system is continually shortening the injector on time during the warm-up process. When the computer commands the solenoid to close, it expects an immediate drop in airflow across the O2 sensor. When this action does not occur, it reasons the engine must be running lean. There is our evidence and a culprit in this case. Therefore, the guilty party can only be an intermittently sticking air solenoid control shutoff valve. I replaced the valve and the owner has driven the vehicle for a few months with no reoccurrence of the check engine light. Another case solved. Thanks for watching. If you would like to help others find this information, please feel free to link to it. Click the like or the Google Plus buttons below. See you again next time in the Wells Vehicle Electronics Garage.